Hi AP, welcome to our first time creating a class and using that class to create object instances together. I'm going to ask that everyone go to the starter code that's linked in your work and also in this video. Go ahead and go to the top and hit File, Duplicate so that you can make a copy, and then we are going to start coding together. It's been a while since we've done this. We had a break, life happened, so please make sure that you set up your screen so that you can see my code in this video alongside where you are coding. Two browser windows side by side work really well for that. And just a reminder that, as always, you can make sure to pause the video to rewatch pieces that you missed, whatever you need to do to make sure you get everything that is happening here. I also strongly encourage you guys to take notes in the form of code comments as you go. Save them in your personal version because these are your notes when we go forward into other practice activities. Alright guys, so let's get started. We can see that we are building off of this example that you guys saw in the last lesson. We are creating a class for minions, and it's going to have several properties. Notice that this is pretty vague because what those properties are is up to us. And then we are going to be practicing making a variable to hold just one instance of the class and print that to the console. Once we finish this, you guys will be adding a few more properties to the class we make together, and you'll be making a few more variables, and you'll be making sure they print as anticipated. So let's get started, guys. In order to make our class, the first thing we need to do is set up where our class is going to be. So to do this, I'm going to start with just the word class, kind of like how when we wrote functions, we started with just the word function. And then I need to give a name to my class that is not used, that the computer doesn't know. So because I'm making minions, I'm going to use the word minion, and a best practice is to give it an uppercase M. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before with camel casing and how we name our variables. It won't break anything if you don't use an uppercase M on class, but it's kind of like when you write in English, we expect to see the first letter of a new sentence capitalized. It's like a visual indicator to us in addition to the period that a new sentence has begun. Same idea here. When people see capital letters in your code, they're automatically assuming, okay, this is probably a class. So we're going to say class minion, and then everything that relates to our class of minion is going to go between two curly braces. So I'm going to open a curly brace, it makes the closing one automatically, and I'm just going to drop it down a few lines so I have space. So right now, my class of minion begins on line 2, and it ends on line 7. Please notice there's no parentheses after minion. That doesn't happen with my classes. It is just a class, the name, curly brace, and then everything is going to go inside those curly brackets. Now the first thing that my class has to have is this special function called a constructor function. The constructor function tells the computer how to set up objects from this class. What do we need to know about them? What information do they get? That's what we're going to be focused on today. So a constructor function always looks like the word constructor, C-O-N-S-T-R-U-C-T-O-R, embarrassing if I spelled this wrong, followed by some parentheses, and then curly braces. So again, constructor, parentheses, curly braces. This should look kind of like how you guys have defined functions before, but now we're not putting the word function in front of it. And I'm actually just going to make a note, to add to this. Constructor needed in every class tells computer how to build objects. So important note being made there. I need my constructor in every class, and it's telling the computer how to build objects. Now inside of that constructor, I'm going to be telling the computer what should every object have. And this is one place where things are going to look a little bit weird. In order to say that I am talking about a particular object, like the object I am making from this class, I use the word this. So if I want to talk about a minion's body color, for example, I'm going to put this dot body color. And what this means is when I make an object, it's for this one. What does this object have? Now, something I know about minions is their body color is always yellow. So I'm going to say this dot body color equals yellow. And I'm making it a string so that the computer understands what I'm talking about. Now, if I were to hit play right now, you would notice nothing really happens. I'm actually going to make my screen a little bit bigger so it's easier for us to see. Nothing really happens, and that's because while we have made this class template, we haven't done anything with it. So going back to that waffle iron example, it's kind of like I own a waffle iron, and it works, but it's like still sitting in a drawer in my kitchen. I haven't turned it on yet. I haven't poured batter in it. I've made no waffles. So let's try and make a waffle from just this dot body color equals yellow. I'm going to put my cursor on line 8. Line 8 right now is the end of my minion function, and I know that because I see it boxes around this curly brace, and it boxes around the curly brace next to minion. I'm going to make this variable outside of my class. Anything that I am doing that's like making an object needs to happen after the definition of that class. So I'm going to make a variable called minion1, and I'm going to set it equal to a new minion. And I'm just going to put some parentheses there. So I have let minion1 equal new minion, parenthesis, parenthesis. Now I'm going to hit play. Oops, and nothing still happens because I still haven't done anything with minion1. So let's drop down a line. Let's console.log minion1. And now let's hit play. Ah, yes. So now I get some information in my console. I see that minion1, when it prints to my console, it tells me it's a minion. It tells me its body color is yellow, and then it tells me that it's using a constructor to make an object. And you'll also notice there's an arrow next to it. If I click down on that arrow, it's going to show me information about my minion. Now, right now, the way I'm making this, every single minion is going to be the same. If I were to make a minion 2 or a minion 3 and console log them, it's going to be the same thing, because right now, the only thing I know about this minion is it has a body color called yellow, and that's it. So right now that's identical, but what if I want something to be unique about these minions? And one thing I know is that minions have names, so I want this minion to have a name. I could drop down to a new line, and I could say this dot name equals Steven. Now when I hit play, I'm going to get minion body color yellow, name Steven, and I'll drop it down so that we can see that. Body color is yellow, name is Steven. But my problem is if I were to make many more minions, minion 2, minion 3, minion 4, and console log all of them, body color would still be yellow, which is good, because that is what minions look like. But the name is also still going to be Steven. And I want my minions to be a little unique. So what if I don't want the attribute to be exactly the same every single time? If I don't want it to be identical every single time, I'm going to add an argument very much like how you did to functions to your constructor. So I'm going to drop in an argument called mName in my constructor for minion name. And instead of saying this dot name is Steven, I'm going to say that this dot name is equal to mName, the name of my minion. Now, when I go down to make this minion, instead of just typing new minion parentheses, in those parentheses, I'm going to give it a value like Sven. Sven is the new name of my minion. Now when I hit play, it tells me that my minion's body color is yellow, but the name is Sven. And the reason why it's doing that is when I tell the computer to construct a new minion, it's going to say, okay, I'm making a new minion, you put in the value Sven, cool, cool, cool. When I run this constructor, Sven goes there. I'm going to take Sven and drop it right in place of mName, so now the name of my minion is Sven. And for those of us still confused about the this, right now the this is minion1. So this is saying minion1.bodyColor is yellow, and minion1.name is equal to whatever I put in place for mName, which right now is Sven. So let's try doing one more piece that we are going to decide, and then I'm going to send you guys off to try and make your own. So I want to make one more element that is going to be something that I decide, and I think I want to decide how many eyes my minion has. So I'm going to say, actually, I want to decide. So in my constructor, I'm going to put comma eyes, and then in my code, in my constructor code, I'm going to say this dot eyes equals eyes. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want us to note that the eyes here and the this dot eyes are the same word, even though they don't mean the same thing. This dot eyes is for the particular instance of object I'm making, in this case Sven, and eyes here is whatever I'm passing through my constructor. So now I have this little minion. I not only want to give him the name of Sven, but I also need to give him a number of eyes. So I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to plug in 2. I'll make Sven very normal looking. And just keep in mind the order of these arguments matters. So right now, whatever goes in first is going in as mname. Whatever goes in second is going in as eyes. And now when I hit play, I get this little printout, which if I drop down is going to tell me that minion is what minion 1 is. Its body color is yellow. This is going to be the same for every minion I make right now. Its name is Sven. This is decided by what I plugged in when I created my minion. And then it has 2 eyes, which again, I decided when I plugged in my minion. And it said that the eyes for this instance is whatever I plugged in my constructor when I first decided this. So here's what you guys are going to be doing. You're going to be adding a few more properties to your minion. So you might have like this dot hairs, and you might decide how many hairs your minion is going to have. This could be something that you pass through the constructor. It could also be something that you guys just have static. So maybe you decide that every minion has 3 hairs. That's totally okay. Maybe you give the minion hobbies. Maybe you give the minions a language they speak. You're going to decide 2 to 3 more properties that you can add to the constructor. And then you guys are going to try and create 2 new variables. So you're going to have minion 2 and minion 3, where you are going to give them all the values they need to be a successful minion, and then you're going to console.log that information. I know this might be confusing, so if you are feeling stuck or overwhelmed, please shoot me a Slack or email and come to office hours. I would love to talk through objects with you. I know they're confusing, and they're one of the things that only gets better when we practice. Good luck, guys.